Hello and welcome to Mr. Gilmore's flipped classroom tutorial on grammar. Yay! Grammar. We have a very clear objective today, kids. To use semicolons to link two closely related independent clauses, and to use colons to introduce a list. We'll try to get all of this today. So, we talked about this some before, but I do want to do a little bit of review. And first off, I want to pose this question, and the question is, what is an independent clause? And really the only way to answer this is to think about a young boy who's tired of living under his parents' shadow and wants to get out on his own. Bad joke. I'm sorry. Now, what is an independent clause? Well, we talked about this. We have the technology. Bam. Grammar rules. Love them. Live by them. So we've said for a long time here in rule number 1, the very first rule that we talked about, a sentence equals subject plus verb. So simple, and gave you some examples of this, right? So if you look down at the bottom here in rule 2, it says Bob fell. Bob fell is, in fact, a sentence, right? Let's compare it to our rule. All right, we have a subject. A subject is anything that is doing something or is being something, and there is someone in this sentence doing something, and that's Bob. Bob is doing something. Bob is falling, or at least in the past, Bob fell. So since he fell, that's the thing he did, that's the verb, my action word, I've got a subject, I've got a verb, therefore I've got a sentence. Even though it's two words, I still have a sentence. So this is an example of something you would call an independent clause, right? Because it's standing on its own, right? The definition of independent, right? You're not depending on anyone else. So Bob fell stands on its own. It can hold that capital letter. It can hang on to that period at the end of it, and it's fine grammatically, okay? No problem there. So simple enough, right? Well, in Rule 2, we talked a little bit about like how you deal with some of this stuff, like how do you string stuff together, right? So if I have two independent clauses or two complete sentences here, I actually can't just string them together any old way. So let's just say like I turn this into a comma, right? Turn this period into a comma, and I just went, hey, Bob fell, and you know what? It was hilarious, so Frank laughed, right? Bob fell, Frank laughed, bada bing, bada boom. I'm connected, I'm good, right? Well, actually, no, I'm not good. Because Rule 2 says I cannot join two sentences together without the right stuff in the middle. I can't just have a comma to join these two sentences together. Well, the one we talked about before was we have a comma plus conjunction, right? So if I put a little carrot top right there and I just put the word so as my conjunction, Bob fell, so Frank laughed, I'm actually okay. I'm now joining those sentences together. Well, today we're going to talk about this second thing we can do. And the second thing we can do to join these two sentences together is we can just add a semicolon. So I can say, as I said right here, let me highlight that for you so that you can see it even clearer than before. Bob fell, semicolon, Frank laughed. Because it's funny when people fall. But anyway, now that I've got the semicolon here, I am joining those two sentences together the correct way. First off, as it said in the rule, I only want to do this with sentences that are closely related, right? I don't want to have like two random sentences. I don't want to have like Bob fell, Frank got a snow cone, right? Those things aren't together contextually. They don't make sense together, so I'm not going to join them together. If I want to talk about Frank's snow cone, I can do that in another part of my text, right? I don't have to do it right beside Bob fell. And if I do put it right beside Bob fell, I certainly don't want to join it with a semicolon or a comma and a conjunction. So Bob fell, semicolon, Frank laughed. They're related. It fits. It works. Okay? So that is an independent clause, and that's how a semicolon would basically work to join those two things together. Right? So, let's do a couple things here. First thing I want you to do is this. We talked about in Rule 1 a sentence equaling a subject plus a verb, right? Bob fell, Frank laughed. If I put plums die, period, plums die, a little close together like that, I want to ask you guys if that's a sentence. So nod your head or shake your head. Nod it if it is a sentence or shake it if it is not a sentence. I can see you. Quit picking your nose. Okay, those of you who nodded your head are correct. This is a sentence. Plums is my subject. Die is my verb. And grammatically, it is a sentence. And I assume factually true as well. I mean, plums certainly die. They rot. So why not would they die? Are they alive? We're getting existential. I don't know. Plums die, but that's a sentence. This I do know. Plums die is a sentence. What I want you to do right now is I want you to write for me two silly sentences, silly simple sentences that are independent clauses, okay? I want you to put it on this sheet of paper, and I want you to be ready to bring it to class whenever you come in tomorrow. So what work to bring to class, the very first thing, silly simple sentence, I want you to give me two of them. Something like plums die or snow rots or something crazy like that. But just let me make sure that you know that it's a sentence. So it's got a subject and a verb like it's supposed to be. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can make it complicated if you like. You can make it complicated if you like. Don't make it a run-on. But you can absolutely write a simple sentence, a two-word sentence. That's fine with me. I want two of them. Give it to me tomorrow. The second thing I want you to do is this. Once you've got that down, and remember, you can pause this video at any time. But once you've got that down, I want you to do a little bit of practice with me. So right underneath those two simple sentences, let's do some semicolon practice to make sure that we can fit more complicated sentences together without there being much of a problem. Okay? So I give you this sheet. Right, and you may have to write these down, but only a couple, three of them. All right, so let's practice. Frostbite is dangerous. The skin and tissue can actually freeze as a result of exposure to intense cold. Exposure. It's a good word. It means you're right there in front of it. Suffering. Here's the question. Do I have two sentences? Because if I do have two sentences, I can't join it together the way these have been joined together. Because the only piece of punctuation that I even see in this sentence is a comma, and I know and you know that you can't use the comma by itself to join two sentences together. That's a fact. That's a rule. It means something. So do I have a sentence? Let's go back to rule 1, subject plus verb. Frostbite. Well, that's a subject, right? If it's doing or being something, well, is a word that means that it's being something, and it sounds like frostbite is being dangerous. So frostbite's being dangerous is linking me to that word dangerous, which is an adjective in this sentence, and it sounds like to me that I got a sentence right here. Now, on the other side of the comma, I don't know if I have a sentence or not, but we can see. I got to see if I got a subject and a verb. All right, so the skin and tissue, okay, those are things. Those are things. The skin and tissue can't actually freeze. So the skin and tissue looks like a subject to me. Can actually freeze. That looks like a verb. Okay. I think we've got two sentences here. And if we've got two sentences here, we've got to do something. So what I want you to do right here before I give you the answer is I want you to see where you think and what you think needs to happen. Okay? What needs to happen and where does it happen? Okay, great. I hope you've got an answer because I'm about to give you one. Don't cheat on me. I think we got two sentences, and I think this is the first one and this is the second one. And since I can't join a sentence with just a comma, and we're not practicing the comma conjunction rule right now, I think we need to add a little dot above that comma and make this a semicolon because I've got two related sentences jammed up together, and that's how that works. Let's do one more. A person who has frostbitten hands should cover the exposed area with warm gloves. Then he or she should get out of the cold. All right. What do you think? Do we have two sentences or not? Let's check. A person who has frostbitten hands. That's a thing, right? That's someone, right? It's a person. That's something that can be or do something. We just don't know if it's being or doing something yet. So a person should cover. Okay, person should cover. So it looks like I got a verb phrase here with should cover, and I've got a sentence on this side. And the thing they should cover is the exposed area. So that's for sure a sentence with warm gloves. Okay, then he or she should get out of the cold. Well, it looks like I got another thing going on right here, he or she, and then I got another verb situation going on. So should get out. Little verb phrase going on, should get out. So it looks like I got two sentences. Take a second and fix that for me. What do I need to do? Where do I need to do it? Great job, I assume. I can't see you. Or can I? Anyway, I got to put it really where these two sentences are meeting together. So it looks to me like after gloves, I need to throw in good old semicolon. And honestly, since I got a transition right here, a little chronological transition, I'm going to chunk a little comma about here because that's what you do. So a person who has frostbitten hands should cover the exposed area with warm gloves, pause, sentence. Then, comma, pause, he or she should get out of the cold. I think I fixed that sentence right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk about this next. I'm going to show you one more. This number 3 has got a little dot beside it. You see it? Write it down. Fix it for me. I want to grade it tomorrow when you come in. I want to see if you got a hang of this semicolon thing or not. It's okay if you don't. We're going to practice more in class. Don't freak out. Quit freaking. Anyway, write the sentence. Fix it. Or don't. If it's not wrong, write correct. But if it is wrong, you know what to do. And if not, we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, that's it. We're going to quickly talk about colons, super fast. How do colons work? Rule 6. Use a colon to introduce a list. Okay, real simple. Watch this. And remember, semicolon is kind of a little dot with a comma underneath it. A colon is like a dot on top of another dot. It's a much more consistent little piece of punctuation right there, I think. The dam consists of 3 parts: the dam itself, the hydroelectric power plant, and the reservoir. I got a list. That's item number 1 in my list. Item number 2 in my list. Item number 3 in my list. When I see that, when I see those items kind of joined together right there, I'm going to put at the end of the introductory phrase and before the list itself starts, I'm going to put a colon. So bam, bam, there she is. The dam itself, the hydroelectric power plant, and the reservoir. As soon as the list begins, I'm going to see the same kind of phrasing happening. So the, and the. We'll talk about parallel structure in a little bit. But that's how it works. Okay? So, number 4, the following dams are also located in the United States. Bam, I'm putting a colon right there. Why? Because that's the end of my introductory phrase. You'll see this list at the end of it. Grand Coulee Dam, Shasta Dam, and Glen Canyon Dam. 3 dams with a list. Commas and ands will be your big hint that it's a list. So that's how you use colons. Here's what I want you to do. And this can be a little bit, because we don't have as much time right here, this can be a little bit shakier than the semicolon stuff. Here's what I want you to do. Write me some list sentences. First thing I want you to do, write me a grocery list sentence. Second thing, write me a people to water balloon list. Put that in a sentence. People you would like to water balloon. And then finally, steps to world domination. Give me a list with that. Try to use colons to introduce it. It's okay if it's shaky because we're going to get a lot more firm tomorrow. But that at least gives you an idea of what we're doing. Hope this helped. Let me know. If you got questions, bring them in tomorrow with your piece of paper that again has silly simple sentences times 2, semicolon practice sentences times 3, the 2 I did with you and the 1 you're doing on your own because you're awesome and you're smarticles. And then finally, those 2 sentences I showed you that I want you to write with a colon list. You can pick any 2 to do. Again, your choices: grocery list, people to water balloon, and steps to world domination. Pick any 2 of those 3, or you can do more if you want. I love overachievers. Bring it in tomorrow. We'll talk about it. Peace out.